Getting the harder way, SouthernTea, back with another EP. And today I'm here with some interesting news. This news is coming out of, women's boxing, the women's boxing world. Shout out to women's boxing. There was a time in the heyday of women's boxing, in the time of Ann Wolf, Layla Ali, Christy Martin, Lucia Riker, where women's boxing, had a real impact in boxing. There was a time where you might have viewed it, just as a bigger commodity as you view, men's boxing around the time where, those ladies that I mentioned was doing it type deal. But right now, these days, even men's boxing is down and women's boxing is way down these days when you're talking about, the on the grand scheme of sports. But these days, 2021, women's boxing is starting to make a comeback. Men's boxing, is starting to make, a big comeback type deal. You know what I mean? Women's boxing is starting to make a comeback. Leading the pack will be one Clarissa Shields. Clarissa Shields will probably be seen as the most known women's boxer today in today's time. You know what I mean? So a lot of people might not be, hip or you might not be on women's boxing, but if you are, even if you aren't, you might know who Clarissa Shields is. You might know her from MMA, you know what I mean? Because Clarissa Shields fights MMA and she fights, boxing. But this particular video is about two other women's boxers, two other women's boxers who I think have, great and bright futures. Two women's boxers who I think that, the people should know more of, who I think the people should start, looking at. I think both these women have extremely bright futures when it comes in women's boxing. And the two women that I'm talking about are Alycia Baumgardner and Mikaela Mayer. Alycia Baumgardner is a bit of an unknown. You know what I mean? A lot of people had no clue really who Alycia Baumgardner was up until maybe a week or two ago when she upset Terry Harper for her championship belts. You know what I mean? Mikaela Mayer is with Bob Arum, ESPN, and Top Rank. So maybe a few more people might have heard of Mikaela Mayer than Alycia Baumgardner. No, Mikaela Mayer is on ESPN and Top Rank. They got that pretty ESPN deal, where they've been on ESPN. So you might have seen on the few undercards of some big fights. And Mikaela Mayer, Alycia Baumgardner is 11-1 with 7 KOs. She's currently the super featherweight champion. She's currently the super featherweight champion, the IBO champion, and she's also currently she's the super featherweight. I think she's the IBO champion and she's the IBF champion. I think she's the IBO champion. She's the IBF champion. No, she's the IBO champion and she's the. I ain't gonna because I don't even want to misquote what it is. I want to make sure that I get, the right belt. I want to make sure that I get the right belt. But I know she's the IBF champion because that's the belt that she had the longest. She's been holding on to the IBO belt for a minute, and the IBO belt is not a major, sanctioning belt. It's a minor belt. You know what I mean? But she's had that belt, for a few fights now, and she just beat Terry Harper. If I'm not mistaken, she beat Terry Harper for the WBC belt, but I'm going to make sure. Was good. I'm going to make sure that it's the WBC belt, but I think that she just beat Terry Harper for the WBC belt. Both these women are champion, and if they do come together and this fight does happen, this will be a unification fight. I'm going to check and see exactly what belt that Alycia Baumgardner has, so I can be correct with my information. But she's been in a look back and forth with Mikaela Mayer. Mikaela Mayer is 16-0 with 5 KOs. She's the super featherweight champion as well. She's the IBF and the WBO champion. You know what I mean? Her last win was against Mikaela Mayer. Hope I'm not saying her name wrong. Her last win was against Mikaela Mayer, and where they unified the belts. And Mikaela Mayer was seen victorious in the fight with Mikaela Mayer. So Alycia Baumgardner is coming off a big highlight, probably knockout of the year, highlight reel knockout in her last fight, in her last upset win against Terry Harper. and you got Mikaela Mayer coming off the biggest win of her career, also in a unification bout with Mikaela Mayer. You know what I mean? So as soon as y'all, when I say as soon as Alycia Baumgardner, won her belt and they gave her post-fight interview, Alycia Baumgardner was still in the ring and they asked her who she wanted to fight next in that division. You know what I mean? And Alycia Baumgardner said that she was open. Alycia Baumgardner said that she was open to all fights and all things. And as Alycia Baumgardner was giving her post-fight interview, you had Mikaela Mayer on Twitter on the internet, and she posted this video on her Twitter. These two have gotten into a pretty interesting social media beef. In the last couple of weeks, they've gotten into a pretty interesting social media beef. You can find all this on both these ladies' Twitter accounts. As soon as Alycia Baumgardner was making an interview, as soon as the interview was done, you had Mikaela Mayer up, posted the video on her Twitter. Is her screaming at the TV in the camera, telling her, Alycia Baumgardner, say my name. Don't say you want to fight this person. Don't say you want to fight that person. Say my name. What, you scared? You chicken? You know what I mean? And then following like a few days later, Alycia Baumgardner had gave an interview, and again she didn't say a name in particular. And Mikaela Mayer jumped in and made another post on her Twitter saying that Alycia Baumgardner scared of her. She won't say my name because she's scared of me. You know what I mean? So now you got Alycia Baumgardner, shooting back. Alycia Baumgardner, she came back and she basically said that I'm not saying your name because you just mad because you're not in the spotlight. And Alycia Baumgardner has been firing back on her own. You know what I mean? Alycia Baumgardner said this was just recently as yesterday, which is why I'm doing this video, because this beef, this rivalry is getting real intense. Alycia Baumgardner has said last week in the interview that she's a real dog, she's a real pit bull, and Mikaela Mayer is the dog that's behind the white picket fence barking for no reason. Mikaela Mayer went to that tweet and she went outside and she went to her white picket fence and she barked over the gate, with both of her straps, with her IBF belt and her WBO belt. Alycia Baumgardner just won the WBC belt in the IBO belt from Terry Harper. Mikaela Mayer walked to the fence with both of her belts and started barking. Alycia Baumgardner replied on the same tweet. You can go to their Twitter accounts right now. This just happened like yesterday. Alycia Baumgardner replied on the same tweet, and she said, and I quote, she was like, "Good bitch." And I'm telling you, like, these women have real beef. This is like a real old school beef. And I think this is the perfect fight for boxing, because you got an extremely talented fighter in Mikaela Mayer. You got an extremely talented fighter in Alycia Baumgardner. And I think that it's going to be fireworks if we get them both together. I think this would be the perfect fight for women's boxing. You know what I mean? Especially if you promote it the right way, you put it in the right places, you put it in front of the right people, you put it in the right city. You know what I mean? This could be a big fight, especially when you got two such high talent level, boxers. You put them in the ring together. I think this will be the perfect fight for women's boxing. I think some kind of way you find a way to get I think you find a way to get the best of the best. I think you find a way to get the best of the best women fighters on this card as well to go along with them. You know what I mean? Just to name a few of the big women in women's boxing today. Because when I do these videos, I want to make sure that I promote women's boxing, the women boxing that I'm promoting this video, and women's boxing as a whole, which is why I started, by saying that in the heyday, because women boxing was a lot bigger than it is now. In the Ann Wolf, later Ali, Christian Martin, and Lucia Rockadale. You know what I mean? We were getting these fights. Women boxing had this time to shine. We got great boxers right now. Clarissa Shields, Katie Taylor, Jessica McCaskill, Amanda Serrano, Hannah Gabriels, French Cruz, just to name a few. I say you get some of those women on the card, throw Clarissa Shields on there, Jessica McCaskill, Amanda Serrano, Hannah Gabriels, French Cruz. Those ladies will be more than glad to represent, a full women's card. You know what I mean? Clarissa Shields is double time, undisputed. And I think, just for women's boxing as a whole, if you want to put Baumgardner and Mikaela Mayer as the headline, Clarissa Shields won't have a problem on that, because she has no problem, not headline in MMA. And I know she's a bigger commodity in boxing, but as a whole, for what it's worth, Clarissa Shields is the biggest known women's boxer, you know what I mean, in the world. So I'm pretty sure she'll put whatever. She'll be the main event, the co-main event, or whatever to put on the great card for women's boxing. I think you should load this card. Alycia Baumgardner and Mikaela Mayer, given the skill level that both these fighters possess. Clarissa Shields is the best women's boxing, but the high skill level of both these fighters, I think is going to be, fireworks. The grit of Alycia Baumgardner, just hear the way she talk. But Alycia Baumgardner is a pretty lady, but she's hard, man. You know what I mean? She hard. You can hear it in the way she talk. Mikaela Mayer, she's a pretty lady, but she's hard. You can hear it in the way she talk. I don't think it's going to be no back down in either of these ladies when it comes to this fight. This fight is perfect for women's boxing. And if you don't believe me, go check out Alycia Baumgardner's last fight and then come back to this post and tell me what you think. Go check out Mikaela Mayer's last fight and then come back to this post and tell me what you think. And if I didn't tell you, I'm going to tell you now, Alycia Baumgardner also trains with Tony Harrison. Alycia Baumgardner is from Ohio, but she trains in Michigan with Tony Harrison from time to time a lot. Tony Harrison is a big influence, on her training, her coaching. You know what I mean? She's essentially like a crunk fighter. You know what I'm saying? She essentially is a crunk fighter. You know what I mean, type deal. So she's getting some good training. Mikaela Mayer is over there with Bob Arum and Top Rank. She's getting, Top Rank has their own training facilities and things like that. Top Rank, does take care of their fighters. You know what I mean? They promote their, their young up and coming fighters as well. So Mikaela Mayer is getting a big push over there on ESPN with Top Rank, as she deserves. She's also a high level fighter. Mikaela Mayer, just to tell you the styles a little bit, because I know I've been here. I ain't told you exactly, how these two women, get down. I gave you a background on, women's boxing and, this fight in particular and what I think this could do for women's boxing. But let me tell you, Mikaela Mayer is is what you call a pure boxer. She has a great jab, extra big jab. And in her last fight, her unification fight, she got took to a place where she hadn't been taken before in her career, and that's into the deep waters, against a good opponent. And she, and she lived, she didn't drown. Some probably feel like, it was an extremely close fight. You know what I mean? I feel like Mikaela Mayer won. It's an extremely close fight. Some people feel like she didn't. Great fight. I don't think nobody get robbed or nothing like that. She earned her stripes that night. She fought more of that fight on the inside as a dog. She went to war. She outbanged the banger in that fight. So she showed me something, and Mikaela Mayer impressed me in her last unification bout with my via Hammondos. You know what I'm saying? Alycia Baumgardner had a highlight reel knockout in her last fight. Go put in Alycia Baumgardner versus Terry Harper. Matter of fact, when you put in Alycia Baumgardner, the knockout might be the first thing to pop up anyway. I'm telling y'all, this knockout is legendary. This knockout is going to live forever. This one of them knockouts we go be able to show our kids, grandkids. Alycia Baumgardner versus Terry Harper. These women are coming out the biggest fights of their career. They're coming out the biggest moments of their career. And I think it's now they don't even have to do this fight now. If y'all want to give these women 2 or 3 more fights, because these women boxing, y'all, we need some to keep us going. If y'all want to give these women a couple more fights, give them a couple more fights. You know what I'm saying? Build this fight up. But this fight is going to be fireworks. Let them get all the belts. Let's give Alycia Baumgardner a shot at the other belt before we make her fight Mikaela Mayer. Or let's give Mikaela Mayer a shot at the other belt before she fight Baumgardner. I think these two are the best super featherweight women in the world. I think these two are the best 2 super featherweight women in the world. So, however you want to do it, let's get them in the ring. Let's make this fight happen. You know what I mean? Let's build a fight however y'all want to do it. But I'm telling you, with the attitude and the personality of both these women, with the skill level of both these women, this fight is going to be high level. And I think if you market it right, I think it's going to be a big fight. This is a pay-per-view. This is a pay-per-view fight if you market it right. It's with the skill level and the personalities within this fight. And James Cooper said, what do you think about Jessica McCaskill? I mentioned Jessica McCaskill, earlier in this video. There's a lot of throw Jessica McCaskill on the undercard. Throw Clarissa Shields on there, Amanda Serrano, Hayden Gabriels, Franchon Cruz, Kaylee Taylor. I'm pretty sure all these women will be willing to put, their status to the side to get on this all women's card, this all-star women's card. You know what I mean? Let's make it a good fight. Let's make it a thing. You know what I mean? I got people in my chat right now who are you know what I'm saying, who are high on Baumgardner, you know what I mean? And as they should be, Baumgardner was highly impressive in her last fight, you know what I mean? So just he's the biggest female fight in US history, you know what I mean? He got that type of potential as far as talent and personality go. This is the perfect fight for women's boxing. And I say you throw more of the top women on the card, the ones I named: Clarissa Shields, Katie Taylor, Jessica McCaskill, Amanda Serrano, Hannah Gabriels, Franchon Cruz. You throw them on there. You have Ann Wolf in the building. You have Layla Ali in the building. You have Tristan Martin in the building. You let. I'm not sure if Tristan Martin is past us or not, so I don't want to speak, too fast. And if she not, I'm sorry. I don't want to, kill her either. But have all the historical. I know Ann Wolf, Layla Ali is still alive. Let both them come to fight that never happened. Layla Ali and Ann Wolf, one of the biggest women boxing fight that never happened. Put them in there. Let them have an interview face to face. Let them talk it out or something like that. Let them call the fights. Let them announce it. Let them be the Sean Porter and Keith Thurman type deal. Make it an all women's thing, a legendary women's night, man. But Baumgardner and Mikaela Mayer, this fight has the potential to be one of the biggest fights in boxing, not just in women's boxing. Has the potential to be the biggest fight in women's boxing and one of the biggest fights in boxing in general, with the skill level and the personality. I think we got the perfect storm here. And let's just go and get real. You know what I mean? You know how America like a good story. We like a good story. You know what I mean? We got typical, and this don't got nothing to do with either of these women. Either of these ladies have nothing to do with them. But you know how we like to start mess here in America. We got black, versus white. We got champion versus champion. You know what I mean? We got coming off the biggest win versus the biggest win. We got them at the highest pinnacle that you could get them at. You could let one of them get the other belt, the next year, and they can fight in 2023. You know what I mean? Build a fight if they want to have two more fights. Go have your two more fights. But I think this fight has high potential. I think this fight has a high potential, to be, one of the bigger fights in boxing. And yes, true. Isaiah Guzman Baumgardner didn't even have a full count in the Terry Harper fight, and she looked magnificent. I'm telling you, go watch that Alycia Baumgardner versus Terry Harper fight. One of the best knockouts I ever seen in my life. Not just women's boxing. One of the best knockouts you will ever see in your life. Go check it out. But make sure y'all come back through here at 6 o'clock. Me and my girl Destiny Black, we go slide through and we go get y'all the show. Make sure y'all check it out. We gonna talk about did Floyd is Floyd Mayweather mishandling black boxing, and we gonna talk about, should we just do away with all the belts in general? You know what I mean? So we just do away with all the belts in general and start doing that whole thing. Are the belts bad for the sport? Are the belts getting to the point where they're so bad for the sport? And me and her had about a 45-minute to an hour conversation right before I came on here, which is why I was late coming on here to do this video. My girl Destiny, we had a conversation, just chopping it up about some boxing type deal. So trust me, y'all not gonna want to miss this 6 o'clock show. So make sure y'all slide back through this jump next 6 o'clock. Make sure we got to push for this Alycia Baumgardner and Mikaela Mayer fight. Women's boxing is on the up and up right now, y'all. Let's keep this thing going. Boxing is on the up and up, y'all. Make sure y'all come back at 6. Make sure y'all tune in to this Baumgardner and Mikaela Mayer. They got a real beef going on. It's on Twitter right now. These folks are going like it's foul. I'm telling you. Go to these people Twitter. They calling each other bitches. They calling each other soft. They calling each other. Look, just whatever you can think of. This is real beef, old school. They got a real old school beef going. High level beef, two high level opponents. I think is perfect for women's boxing right now. The perfect storm. Got everything you need. Got everything you need. Bet, Demetrius. I think this fight got everything you need. I think this fight got everything you need to satisfy you as a boxing fan. You know what I mean? Man, a man's boxing fan, female boxing fan, women's boxing fan. You know what I mean? Great fight, high level fight against two great competitors. Alycia Baumgardner, he's 11-1 with 7 KOs. She's currently the IBO and the WBC champion. The WBC is a major belt. You know what I mean? Mikaela Mayer is 16-0 with 5 KOs. She's currently the super featherweight IBF and WBO champion. Those both are major belts. This will be a unification fight. Let one of them get the other belt, make it an undisputed fight. But whatever you do, make sure you make it happen. But that's all I got. Skinny Hardaway, SouthernTea. This ain't the past. This ain't the future. But this the present. This how we rocking. And I'm out. Love.